Okay. All right. Now, as I previewed in the previous video, I said this video, it's very important. Okay. This part of the lesson is very important because that's actually what we will see a lot tomorrow and also next week. So, okay. Now, we just want to make sure that we know how to manipulate items and numbers involving I. Okay. I mean, for the most part, I can treat it like a little variable, like a variable x. Okay. It doesn't really mean much until at the end, like you have I cube or I square or I to the whatever power, we will have to simplify it. Okay, we will not leave it as I to the third power. We will not leave it to I to the. We will not leave it as I to the 16th power. Now, whenever that it's more than or at least I square or above, we will have to simplify it. That is um, that it's uh, common habit. Okay, that's a given. Okay, so right here we have 2i, and then we've got 4i square because you're having 2i multiplied by 2i, right? 2i squared, it's 2i times 2i. 2 times 2 is 4. I times I, it's I squared. And then you continue to multiply. So 4 times 2 is 8. And then you have I cube. And we do not end here. Okay. We do not end here because it's I cube. So what's I cube? We say, well, I cube, it's negative I. Remember from the previous segment. So our final answer is negative 8i. Okay. So again, we put the I at the very end. We put numbers in front of the I. Okay. So that's really what it is. And a huge thing here it's to make sure that you multiply numbers properly, and also knowing how to handle exponents properly. Because at the beginning of semester, some students, hopefully it's not you, but some students, they were not very good with the interpretation of these exponents. So now is a good time to make sure that you are not going to mess it up again. Like right here, 4i cubed, the cube only applies to the I. It does not influence the 4, okay? And so it's not subtraction, it's a multiplication. That's why we have two parentheses, two sets of parentheses here. So 4 times negative 5, it's negative 20. And then I cubed times I squared, it's I to the 5th power. So I to the 5th power is the same thing as I to the 4th power times I, so which is simply I. All right, so if you watched last video, you know what's going on, then you know how I to the 5th power should equal to I. Okay, so that's really it. All right, now, so we are seeing, so number 5 and number 6, they're pretty similar. They're just multiplying, right? And just have to make sure that you are multiplying the coefficients together. You're taking good care of the I. And by the way, some of you, if you are a little bit confused about what to do with these exponents, or if you forgot why on earth we are adding the exponents, here's a little explanation, okay? I cube means I times I times I square means I times I. So ask yourself right here, how many i's are multiplying together? Okay, so it's not really a rule, it's really more of a pattern that we see, and we say, hey, it seems like there's a pattern, so let's make things a little bit simpler. But if you don't understand the reason behind the rule or behind the property, then it's going to be a little bit messy right here. All right, now what about this one right here? We'll say, what can you do? Now, I could offer you two ways to do this. First way is the average person way. The average person would do FOIL, okay? So you'd be like, oh yeah, first, the outside, inside, and then the last, right? Okay, so you can do that, okay? Sorry. Oh, my bad. I mean, the last would be this one, right? You can do that, okay? And we'll go ahead and do this, okay? So let's just be an average person for a moment. So first would be 1, right? 1 times 1, it's 1. The outside would be minus 2i. The inside would be plus 2i. And then the last would be minus 4i squared. These would be canceled out. Minus 2i plus 2i, they cancel each other out. So we have 1 minus 4, and then there's an I squared, and we know I squared is equal to negative 1. So that means we have 1 minus negative 4, which is 1 plus 4. Sorry, the 5 came out too early. So 1 plus 4, it's 5. Okay, so that's the average person approach. Okay, now, so you can keep that. Okay, but I'm going to erase it. All right, now what about the smarter person approach? Okay, so are you smart, or do you want to be smarter? Okay, if you want to be smarter, then I would hope that you can see it. Now, the smarter person approach is this. Do you still remember this? A plus B times A minus B. So last week or so, we did some factoring, remember? And we said that if you see A squared minus B squared, it's equal to A plus B, A minus B. Let's just give you a little example to jumpstart your memory in case you forgot. Like x squared minus 4, if you say, oh yeah, I can factor this. And you say, oh, what's factored into? It's factored into x plus 2 times x minus 2. Okay, so now what we see here, it's really just a little reverse of the factoring. It's called the expanding or distributing, okay? So you recognize the pattern right here, like, hey, can't you see this? All right, we're like, oh yeah, we see the one being the same. And they say, hey, can you see the 2i? And we say, yeah, we see the 2i. And then we say, hey, can you see the plus right here? And then it's a minus right there. That seems like we have seen something like this before, and yes, we did. It's called the a plus b, a minus b, right? That's the difference of two perfect square. That's the factored. That's the fact. These are the factors of the a plus b. I mean a squared minus b squared. So to distribute them, we can actually go ahead and say, oh yeah, what's the a term? Well, the a term, it's going to be our little 1, right? A plus b, a minus b. So a squared minus b squared. Okay, once you recognize it, just go straight ahead, write this down. Okay, so 1 squared is just 1, and then 2 squared, 2i squared is 4i squared. And then we say, well, 1 minus 4 times negative 1, 1 plus 4, that is 5. Okay, so this is the smarter person approach, okay, because you can really make this a lot faster. But in order to do this approach, you've got to know, you have to recognize that using a plus b, a minus b, this kind of setup. So we'll see a couple more. Okay, let's take a look at number 8. Okay, now I'm gonna use the smarter approach because you can do FOIL. Everyone can do FOIL, right? So we say, hey, a minus b, a plus b. That fits the little identity right here, right? Or the fits the equation right there. So if I see this, then I'm going to go ahead and say, oh, a squared minus b squared. A squared minus b squared. So your job is to make sure that you can identify a term and b term and just put it into the parentheses. How lovely, how easy. Then we have I squared, and then square root of 3 is just, square root of 3 squared, it's 3. So we say, oh, it's 4 minus negative 1 times 3, which is 4 plus 3, and that gives you 7. Okay, that gives you 7. All right, so now if I would be honest with you, this middle step right here, I probably would not write it. Okay, I probably would not write it. Same thing over here. I would not write down 4 plus 3 because I can see it's 4 minus negative 3. So just 4 plus 3 in my head, and I go straight to number 7. Okay. So number 7 and number 8, okay, it's something that you can see where it is like a plus b, a minus b, so you can do this a lot easier. If you look at your homework, you can go practice from question 23 to 26 on the back page. Okay, that's very similar. I would strongly encourage you to try those right after this video. Okay. Now, not all the questions are as perfectly designed like that. So we have number 9, like this one, and this one we don't have any other choice but to do FOIL. Okay, so we'll do FOIL first. It's 15. All right, so 15, and then outside would be 3i root 2, and then the inside would be minus 5i root 2, and then the last will be negative I square, and then root 2 times root 2 is 2. So we have 15, and these are like terms, even though they look kind of ugly, but they are like terms nonetheless. And then minus I square, it's just negative 1, right? So that becomes addition. So 15 minus 2i root 2 plus 2. So 15 plus 2, it's 17 minus 2i root 2. So that's our final answer. I probably would not write this one as part of my writing if I do it normally, because it's just me trying to show you the thought process. Okay, but usually let's skip that part. Okay, so that's number 9. It's pretty straightforward. Just go ahead and we'll just go ahead and distribute using FOIL. Okay, so make sure you can handle this and make very sure that you can handle questions like number 7 and 8. And I repeat, make sure that you can do number 7 and number 8. It will be handy for tomorrow. Okay, you are warned. All right. So now, for the next video, I would go ahead and just pick a couple ones to do. They are really similar to what we had done already, but just want to give you a few reminders about what to do, and that's really it for today's lesson. All right, so let's go ahead, click the next video as the last segment of today's lesson.